Good news you can use with that Mahone, yeah. She got the good news you can use. Good news you can use for your life.
Hello and welcome to this edition of The Boomer Beat with yours truly, Bev Mahone. And today it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the show Marcie Hill, who I call the blogging guru. She is a marketing, blogging expert, and she is also the writer and the host behind marciewrites.com. Hey, Marcie, how are you?
Hey Bev, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, so let's just jump right into the fray here because, as you know, I'm older than you. And I started blogging back in, I want to say about 2005, 2006. I didn't really know what blogging was all about. I just thought I'd just write down my thoughts and put them out there in the universe. So tell me, how does one actually get started with a blog?
On the most basic level, they would do what you did. Find a platform and put your thoughts out in the universe and see how they go. Because a blog is really just an online journal. But over the years, it has expanded to more multimedia platforms. So you could do the written word. You can just do a photo blog. You can do images. There's so much more you can do with the blog today. But ultimately, the main thought behind blogging is, what is your purpose for blogging?
That is a good question. What is your purpose? So, how do we kind of figure that out? I mean, I started blogging because I wanted to reach middle-aged older women who were going through menopause. So that was my target. I knew that because I was trying to sell a book. But not everybody my age is trying to write a book. Not everyone, is really trying to write about menopause. So how do we go about figuring out what our platform is, what our message is, what our purpose is?
Some people start out with an idea and some people don't. And for the people who have an idea, for instance, with your blog, you said it was for women with menopause, right?
Mhm.
You had an idea, so you knew who you were trying to reach. But for me, when I started writing Marcie Writes, I was all over the place. I had no idea. However, eventually I said, okay, writing and blogging are the two things I love most. So my topics started revolving around writing and blogging. So some people may know going in, which is great. You'll have your focus for, I'll just say for the most part, but at some point you may actually shift. And then you'll start this process all over again because that's where I am now. I started with writing and blogging, and then I got bored with those topics, and I'm now again trying to figure out what's next, even after I've been blogging for over 10 years.
I don't want to get too far off the subject, but you said something I thought was interesting. You started out blogging because you like to write. So you don't believe that a writer and a blogger are necessarily the same? Or are they?
They are, I don't think they are, because I'm a gifted writer. So when I first started blogging, I was just blogging about anything that came to mind, right? But then you have somebody who just have thoughts, and they're not necessarily a writer, and the thoughts don't necessarily have to be. Well, again, it depends on the purpose of the blog too. So if your blog is to journal or just to put random thoughts out there, you're just pretty much doodling, but you're doodling with purpose, your purpose. Whereas when you started your blog, you had an audience you were trying to reach. And that doesn't say that you're not a writer, but some people, everyone who writes or everyone who blogs is not a writer.
Okay.
Well,
So,
I don't think
okay.
so.
You can be a
I don't think
writer
so.
who turns into a blogger, but everybody who blogs is not a writer. Oh, that I like that. That makes sense.
I mean, that's my opinion. Because again, your blog doesn't necessarily have to be writing. You can have an audio blog. You can have a video blog. You can have just do the GIF images or just do JPEGs. So having a blog and being a writer doesn't make you a blogger. But having a blog doesn't make you a blogger either, because some people just post once and say, "Hey, I'm a blogger." No, you are not. In my opinion, other people may feel differently, but if you post at least once a month consistently, then I consider that a blogger, someone who makes this a part of what they do.
Okay, I want to get into the consistency a little bit later on, but let's talk about finding out where our niche is. Because like you said, not everybody really, I had a purpose, but not everybody really knows what their purpose is. But a lot of us, as we are older, moving into retirement, there are a lot of things that, hobbies we might have, or some other skills, or just want to, we're grandparents or we're great grandparents, and we want to talk about what that grandparenting experience is. How do we tap into finding out exactly what we could be or should be writing about?
I'm going to say what a lot of people told me when I started on my writing journey: just blog. Whatever topic comes to mind, because eventually you'll find a pattern, and the pattern may just be miscellaneous topics. But if you might be like with grandparents, there's a big, huge target with mommy bloggers. I haven't heard a lot about grandparent blogging. That's an option, especially now with the pandemic, because a lot of parents are probably sick of their children. Like, here, let me drop you off for a day or two, probably the weekend. So, I mean, it's not impossible, but again, it doesn't just have to be. I really think now, because as far as determining your niche, just start. Because as I stated, you'll just find a pattern and you'll just flow with that pattern.
Okay, and that makes sense because over the years I have evolved. I did start out talking about menopause, and once that book was written and it was done, I went on to something else. So just I did try to pattern my own blogging around my books.
Okay.
But since I haven't written any books lately, now I'm just kind of free flowing, so to speak. Let me ask you about hobbies that we have. Like, I have one woman who she loves to knit. She loves to quilt. Is that something you can turn into a blog? And
Most,
how would you go about doing that?
most definitely, because there are a lot of crafting sites out there, but she could, I don't know if she's video shy, but if she's not shy doing video, she could probably show something that she's creating, depending on how small it is. She could show different patterns for knitting. I'm not familiar with it. Different books, things that she's made and who she's made them for. I think that was, I mean, as far as hobbies, or even just older people, you could put a day in the life, because everyone has different things that they're doing. And if you're retired, you're not doing the same thing every day. I hope not, because you have more time, right? So you can, and then you could journal your days depending on what you're doing. Some days you may say, I'm cooking today, and show what you're cooking, because I'm getting more into cooking now because I don't want to pay for food and things like that. But before Pinterest, I wasn't cooking. So I would go to that site and say, let's, show me this. And if somebody told me about the person's site, I'm not a knitter. However, I know people who do knit. So I would say, hey, check this site out. But it would just be a day in the life, or a day in the life of a knitter, something fun, just something fun she likes to do. She may have tons of hobbies. Do all of them, because you're uniquely you. And depending on how you tell the story, people will continue to come back because of you.
Now let's get into the whole consistency thing here, because I've been on blogs when I've just kept writing, and I'd write like every day. And then there'd be weeks when I'd be struggling just to get one out. And then there'd be weeks when I didn't get anything out. And I like several months on one of my blogs where I had nothing posted. And I thought, well, why do I even have this blog? So, how often should we be blogging, and how do we continue to be inspired to blog?
Okay, so to answer the first question, the number of times you blog or when you blog depends on the goal of your blog. Because some people are, if it's a hobby blog, you can post whenever, but I would encourage people to post at least once a month just to have a continuous flow. When I was blogging, I was trying to reach writers and bloggers. So I blogged once a week at least. But that was taxing after I got a job. It was easier when I was on my own. So I would just say realistically at least once a month.
Okay,
Because
just once a month. That's it.
that's
You don't really
really
have to.
I,
Okay.
I don't think so, because blogging is, unless blogging is your job, you're not going to do it every day. And then you might say, oh, I found this tip, or I found some, this is something I've done. And you may not do it every day. So you're just not going to blog because you don't do anything. No, you just do it. You set your schedule and go from there. But I would say, honestly, at least once a month to keep a flow going. And when people visit your site, they can see that you're a blogger, not a one-time poster.
Gotcha. All right, that's good information. So, I'm new to the blogging world, and I think I've got a topic. So, how do I go about setting up my blog?
There are two free platforms that I would encourage people to use: WordPress.com or Blogger, which is owned by Google. And these are your training wheels to get into blogging. And I encourage people to start there all the time for two reasons. First, blogging is not hard, but there are a few technical things that are involved, and you need to go through that process. And WordPress.com is harder than Google. That's more technical.
Oh, yes.
However, you can go to YouTube and have videos, but if you're not tech savvy, you'll be challenged either way. But I would say start there, learn how to do the setup, you pick your design, and then you create your first blog. But a lot of times they walk you through the process. But I haven't been on WordPress.com in a long time because I have a self-hosted site, so I do everything myself. But those are the two ways to get started.
Okay, so Blogger and WordPress. Those are the two ways to get
WordPress.com.
WordPress.com.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Now I've got the Blogger set up. I've got my first blog up, and I'm excited because I wrote something. How do I get people to see it other than my friends who may or may not look at it? How do I get them to see it?
So first of all, to get your friends to see it, send them an email with a link to the article and let them know, hey, this is my first blog post. Please read it, leave a comment, or share it. I always read it, but at least leave a comment and share it. And I would say do that with your first few blog posts to make sure. It's extra work, but that way you have at least you pick a tribe, the same few people to visit your site after each post, and then ask them for support starting out. Because a lot of people, you're not going to be found immediately. You may not be found ever unless you post it. And then you also have to share it on your social networks. And that can be challenging if they don't have a social, at least one, a presence on at least one social site. But even if they are not on social sites, are they on, if they're in different groups in other places, if they're in different groups, they can share the link to the post there also. But ultimately, they have to promote that post in order to get people to read it.
Okay. And that can be a problem. I was going to ask it, but you kind of answered the question. So if, I'm not really active in social media but I really do want people to read what I've written, what are my other avenues? But you're suggesting then just sending out emails to our friends so that they will know, and perhaps by word of mouth,
They can share it.
they will be able to share it.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any real advantage to doing a video blog versus just writing a blog? Is there any advantage for older adults?
I wouldn't say advantages. There are advantages, but I do know as far as the source of sharing your message, some people like to write and they will use a blog as their primary platform. Some people hate video. They will probably never use video. So I won't say there are advantages, but people do watch videos more because we are in a video age. But then there are still a lot of people who read. So I don't have a good answer to that question. But those are just my thoughts as far as video versus blogging.
Okay. And I think you said something earlier about you have to be comfortable with being in front of the camera. And if you're not comfortable, then writing is probably the best way to go. Would you say
Right.
that?
And then some people are and then if you don't like to write, you can still everybody speaks. Hopefully you have a good easy a voice that's pleasant to listen to. So you still don't have to just do video. You can do an audio blog and post it, but that requires a little technical savvy. You can go to YouTube and find out how to post it, but that's an option too.
Is Pinterest considered a blog of some sort, or is that just putting up pictures? Is that really a blog?
No, it's a social site. It's a visual social site. And I love Pinterest, by the way. That's where I get all of my recipes.
Oh, okay. And I'm just starting to get into it. I haven't really examined it as thoroughly as I probably should, but I got enough on my plate right now anyway. Let me ask you this. When we start out blogging,
I'm sorry.
I did tell you that I had a purpose when I started out, so I knew where I was going. Can we just blog for anybody? I mean, I'm a 60 plus year old woman. Can I be talking to teenagers in my blog? Will they be interested in what I have to say in my blog? How do I reach them if I have something to share with them in my blog?
As a matter of fact, I think you can speak to teenagers as long as you talk to them and not at them. And that's with anybody, because you might have a message from like Auntie Bev, right? And you will come to them from the aspect of an auntie, like, okay, just go out and vote. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. You don't have to get into the political nuances on why you should vote. Like, look, this is one of your rights. You go ahead and vote and, make this a practice. Don't stop at this election. So you can talk to anybody. And the way to reach teenagers is Instagram. And I forgot the other platform. A lot of people,
TikTok?
oh, yeah, everybody's on TikTok. So
Yeah,
if you
even
do
grandmas and grandpas are on TikTok. I know, right?
like a message from this is your voting message from Aunt Bev, and then you make it 30 seconds, yes, and make it engaging, you can reach them. And then they're also on Facebook. I don't know how receptive they are to people who are not their friends, but there's a way to reach. All you need is reach one and ask them to share the message, because they have like thousands of friends. You're only 15. Where do you get these thousands of people as friends from? So yeah, you could reach anyone. It's just your goal and how you do it.
Okay. Are there a certain number of words that we need to write when we are blogging? So, for example, let's just say I got up today and I'm not having a good day. So then I go to my blog I'm not having a good day. So you're not going to read anything from me today. The end. What do you say to
Well,
that?
yeah, you have different views on the number of messages because over the years they said you should write a blog. Your blog post should be over 1,000 words, between 1,000 and 2,000 words. Whereas years ago they said you should have a minimum of like 350 to 500 in order to be found on Google. Well, if your goal is not to be found on Google, you can write that post, I'm not having a good day. I don't have anything to write. But you can add that image that says, well, here's a message hoping you have a great day. And that's it. All of 20 words or less. But I don't think, I mean, because most people who start blogs are probably is mostly for themselves. So you're writing for yourself. And then as you build an audience, they'll pretty much give you feedback and let you know what they're interested in. And you may not always be interested in what what they're telling you. And then say, hey, can you submit a guest post on that topic? But make sure they can write. They have good writing skills.
Right.
Because a lot of people say, sure, I'll send it and then get it. You're just like, I can't use this.
Yeah. I've seen a few of those, as a matter of fact. All right. So, as we get ready to wrap this up, is there any other? I know that one of the questions that I was asked was about monetizing your blog, and I don't, it wasn't a conversation that I felt comfortable in addressing because my blogs aren't monetized, even though they probably should be. So, is it something that older adults can really do with monetize their blogs and think that they really can be financially successful with it?
If they are interested in learning how to be internet marketers, because the blogs that make the most money are people. Now, these are the blogs themselves. Are the people who have have a team writing for them. They're not doing it themselves. They post daily and they have tons of followers. But they have this team who have written articles who can help them draw that traffic. So it's not impossible, but you have to be interested in learning internet marketing because ultimately that's what that is. And that's just through the blog. However, depending on how you position your blog, you yourself could possibly make money by, the knitter, if she does a knitting class and charge people. And everything is done, well, now you have no choice but to do it online. But now, you could charge $10. You have 5 people to show up. You That's still not bad.
That's right. That's $50 that you probably didn't have. So yes.
And then you're still at home. You don't have to drive. So you can create an audience that way. And another thing, after COVID hits, okay, you show that you have classes. You may use your blog to write a book or not, because it is a platform. As you write your stories, you may find a book developing. You can create a book from the content on your blog. That's another way you can make money, but you still have to promote that book. No matter if you post on Amazon or you sell it from your site, you still have to promote it. So you are always marketing. A third thing is, once we get past this COVID environment, even in this environment, if your goal is to be a speaker, you can get people to pay you to speak. I don't know where those platforms are. I haven't really pursued it. That's a goal for next year, but I know they might not be getting paid thousands of dollars because they're not in person, but you can still get paid hundreds of dollars for your knowledge. And depending on how you position yourself, you might still be able to get paid thousands of dollars. So those are a few ways I can think of right now that people can get paid from their blog. But as far as getting paid directly from blogging, some people might ask to do a sponsored post on your site, and then you can say, well, yeah, you pay $50 and I'll post it on my site. But you have to show that you have traffic and credibility before people will do that.
We'll do that exactly. All right. Well, that's going to really do it. You've answered all of the questions that I had. Do you have any final tips that you'd like to share with us as far as, older adults and blogging goes?
Be kind to yourself. Be easy. because blogging is not easy and you have to have patience. And I do have a checklist that I don't mind sharing with your audience. It's a blogging checklist,
Please.
and it'll give you ideas of the 9 different areas of blogging. And take your time as you go through each one because there's a lot to learn. And blogging is, well, growing a blog and getting paid for blogging is internet marketing. So that's altogether different skill level, and you have to be willing to learn it if you want to make money, a lot of money. You can make some pennies, but if you want to make a lot of money, you have to become an internet marketer. That's another tip. A third tip: just start. Don't be, if you have an idea, just start it. And you may decide, oh, I don't like blogging. That's fine, but just know you don't always have to write your blog. You can use audio, you can use video, images, anything to get your message across. Let me see. I believe those are the main ones, but know your why when blogging, because if you're blogging for yourself, you can do what you want to do. You don't have to worry about all the things that experts say. You could just do you. However, if you're doing it for an audience, still just start, but it may grow into something else during during the process.
Okay.
But most
That's
importantly, one, just have fun with it too. If you just want to write that post that says I'm having a bad day, that's fine. But make sure you wish your audience a great day.
yeah, that's a good one. That's exactly right. All right. Well, listen, Marcy, as always, you are my guru when it comes to blogging, and I sincerely appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to share with my audience of baby boomers and matures how to get started in blogging. Thank you so very much.
And thank you for having me, Bev.
You're very welcome. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Boomer Beat. And until next time, remember this: stay empowered along your journey. See ya.
Take care.
Good news you can use for your life. If you